our Common Ground segment, bringing two sides together. Joining us tonight, Florida Republican Congressman Mike Waltz and California Democratic Congressman John Garamendi. Thank you both for being here. Want to start with the latest as the briefings have continued about these objects taken down by the U.S. military, the concern about that, and really a lot of questions about what's going on. Congressman Waltz, first to you, and then Congressman Garamendi, your thoughts on this.
Sure, Brett. Well, I think we need to take a step back and appreciate that NORAD, that defends North American airspace, has never shot down an aircraft or an object over our homeland in its 65 years of existence, and now we've shot down 4. Look, at the end of the day, my questions around our policy still remain. If those last 3 objects had not been at an altitude where it can interfere with civilian aircraft, it had been at 60,000 feet or higher, where the original spy balloon was, would we have then let it go? If something is so large that it presents a hazard to people on the ground, if it's shot down, does that get a free pass? So I just am looking for some consistency here. I am glad the administration is taking a more assertive approach now to defending our sovereignty. And at the end of the day, we're all trying to figure out if these are all Chinese, of Chinese origin, why they're doing it now. Have they been doing it for quite some time? Are we just now detecting it? And then what military gaps we have in terms of our radars, our sensors, and our ability to detect things in the space between where aircraft fly and where satellites fly.
Congressman Garamendi, the New York Times had China saying it tries to depict the furor over the spy balloon as a sign of U.S. decline. Quote, why else would a great power be spooked by a flimsy inflatable craft, China has argued, if not for a raft of internal problems like an intensely divided society and intractable partisan strife driving President Biden to act tough on Beijing. That's China's take.
Well, what else would you expect from China? But the reality here is that Mike's on the right track. All of us learned a great deal about the balloon issue and then the subsequent 3 sightings and shoot downs. And we're going to go forward. We're going to go forward together, for having understood this particular problem. And now we do know that the Chinese Communist Party is trying to use balloons and other devices, satellites and the rest, to spy on us. That's not new. But the balloon, yeah, that's new. Now we're ready to go. And Mike's correct. We've learned a lot. And we do need clear, consistent policy.
You all are working together on the subcommittee of the Armed Services Committee on readiness. And you all do see some common ground on a couple of things, specifically reliance on China, reducing that reliance for defense supply chain being one of them, and a few others. Congressman Waltz?
Well, that's exactly right, Brett. Not only do we have to bring those supply chains back to the United States, or at least to an allied country where we can access them, we have to protect the existing ones in place. We recently had to ground our Joint Strike Fighter fleet, our most advanced fighter across all the services, because it had a key engine component that it turns out we discovered was manufactured in China. And not only could they turn that off in a time of conflict, they could infect potentially various types of supplies. And then the other thing that John and I are working very hard on is pushing our logistics and our maintenance forward across the Pacific. We don't have a Poland right next to Taiwan. We have a large ocean there, so logistics will be far tougher. We need to make sure Taiwan is armed, but that we also have the stockpiles of parts and fuel and other logistics items that we need there at the ready, and with the political agreements in place so that our partners and allies will allow us to use them if we come to some type of conflict.
Congressman Garamendi, I know you're just back from a CODEL overseas to Poland talking about Ukraine. You heard Congressman Waltz mention that. I want to play a soundbite from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs today, General Mark Milley, about Russia and where it stands. Take a listen.
Russia is now a global pariah, and the world remains inspired by Ukrainian bravery and resilience. In short, Russia has lost, They've lost strategically, operationally, and tactically, and they are paying an enormous price on the battlefield.
I know you all are on the same page on getting weapons in and supporting Ukraine, but you agree with that Russia has lost from what you saw over in Poland?
Well, I would put it this way. Russia is losing. This fight is not over. And that is one of the major reasons that we were there, to make sure that the American equipment that is flowing into that area is actually getting to the front in a timely way. There's plenty to debate about whether something should have been there 2, 3, 4 months ago. And that's a debate worth having. But what we know now from this trip, and I was there with the chairman of the new chairman of the committee, Mike Rogers, is that the American military, our logistical systems are working and the equipment is accounted for and it is getting to the front.
And I know you all are both working behind the scenes on a number of those fronts together. Congressman Garamendi, I want to ask you one question about politics, and that is today Senator Dianne Feinstein saying she's not running for re-election. Do you have a horse in that race as of yet?
No, I don't, but I have an extraordinary value for Senator Feinstein. I've worked with her well over 30 years now. She's an extraordinary woman. We're going to miss her in California, and this nation's going to miss her because she's just an extraordinary individual.
Well, thanks for adding that. And Congressman Waltz, I know that's not common ground because you'll try to push for a Republican, but there is some common ground to talk about. And gentlemen, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bret.
Thanks, Mike.